Robbie.
Steven Brooks.
See, there we go. Now we got the two names. I think I came down on you last time for not doing that. Let's just get into this. Racism. No, I'm just kidding. It's we're not really.
Finally, we're talking about.
We got two movie reviews that we're doing. One is Soul. One is the Raya and the Last Dragon. Rob, which one did you watch?
Soul.
Yes, and I watched Raya and the Last Dragon.
I think I do it not in great detail review, but I do better than I ever done.
That is true. You do better than you ever done.
I mean,
you came complete with notes, which was great. I had some notes. I feel like I probably should have been more prepared.
I just didn't want to give a soulless review.
Oh, I see. I see what you did.
You got a pun?
I don't, actually. Raya. That's the best I got.
I'll take it.
Rob saw one movie, I saw another movie, so he's going to be reviewing at me, I'm going to review it at him. The only things that we say in our reviews are things that are usually present in the trailer.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen any of these movies that we're talking about today, if you are interested in one, I'm just going to say one of them won an Oscar.
Okay, that's true. Yes.
Mine.
All right, fine. I was not aware that we were picking sides and we were deciding that because you watched a movie that also you did not pay for.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. And if you got Disney Plus, you know.
The reason I watched Raya and you watched Soul is because you didn't pay for yours.
Exactly.
That's why.
I didn't have to reach into my wallet. I just put it on, and it was Christmas, and everything.
I didn't reach into my wallet either. You want to know why? Because it's 2021 and we don't do that anymore.
Oh, you don't put your card in your VCR?
Do you still have a VCR?
Well, at my folks' house, but I'm bringing it here because I want to digitize my VHS tapes. I just got to pick a nice Sunday to say I'm going to do it, but never do it ever.
Well, that's a good a reason as any to get into the episode. I want to say welcome to episode 267. Wait, is that right?
Yes. Because that's...
Yes, you just looked at it?
Yeah, that's what I wrote down in my recorder here.
Am I 100% positive on that?
Yeah. Podcast _Rob_movie _267.
No. Incorrect. It is 277.
Oh, well, you told me earlier.
I did. I steered you wrong.
Do you really want to hear a review from this guy? He's going to steer you wrong.
It is episode 277.
I bet he didn't even see a movie. He probably
rubber animation.
Probably was staring at his reflection.
You know what? Podcast canceled. It's over. Turn it off right now. Or you can continue listening to episode 277 of the Rubber Animation Podcast, and we're calling this one Soul and the Last Dragon. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Was that a title of a movie?
I'm Don Bluth. I'm Harry Partridge.
Hi, I'm Tom Moore, teenage superhero.
My name's Adam Phillips.
This is Robert Valley.
And I'm in no way doing a forced plug. No, sorry.
And you're listening to...
Three, two, one, Soul.
So, did you say 3, 2, 1, Soul?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, Raya.
Doesn't work as well.
No. Anyway, so obviously we talked about it in the intro, right? Or we will have talked about it after we record it at the end of this episode, the intro that we'll play before this episode. We will have talked about the fact that we're reviewing both Soul and Raya today. But the interesting thing that kind of gets into this is twofold, I think. One, we're still in the pandemic, obviously, but it is a fact of the times that we're in right now that you can't see a movie like this in the theater. I mean, I guess technically you can, but like I'm not.
Yeah.
And this stuff is released out on Disney Plus. Now, as far as Soul goes, Did you have to rent that, or was that released?
It was free.
It was free with your subscription to Disney Plus. Now,
Yeah.
on the other hand, I had to get a what's it called, First Access or whatever it's called. Basically, I had to rent it for Raya and the Last Dragon. So it was interesting. Now, Raya and the Last Dragon is a Disney animated movie, and Soul is a Pixar. I honestly don't know what the decision was there to release Soul just on the platform and then put Raya up for a rent.
Disney's more greedy than Pixar.
Well, Disney owns Pixar, though, so that's the thing that
That's true. You would think Disney would
confuses
be
me.
like, hey, maybe.
confounds me.
Well, it was what, like $30 to rent?
It was $30, yeah.
That's how long I haven't been on Disney Plus that I didn't even know the movie Raya exists until you mentioned it. No, not true. I did know, but I just kind of like I haven't been on Disney Plus really to even know that you had to rent it.
I mean, that's the thing. Disney Plus, it's it's such an interesting streaming service just based on cultural impact alone. Like, you look at that and you look at the stuff that they have, and there has never been a more explicit display of monopoly than looking at that and going, oh, I see. We have Disney. We have Pixar. We have Star Wars movies. We have Marvel movies. We have like all these movies, all these franchises and things are under one roof, and that's just the big franchise stuff. That's not to say anything about ESPN or ABC or anything like that. It's kind of fascinating to see everything and they even split it up like that. All the Marvel movies. I revisited the first Captain America movie because it came up in conversation. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll throw that on, and I threw it on. It's very interesting. It is like The Rocketeer, but if you just drape over top of it, Captain America. But it looks like it's the same director, obviously, but it's this weird throwback kind of thing. Anyway, so I watched that. Oh my goodness. It will, every time I open the app, it will only recommend Marvel stuff to me because it's like I don't use the app all that much, and all it knows about me is I watched a couple Marvel things. It was the same thing that happened when I tried to check out, and I say tried because it took me 3 days, I think, to watch and finish. What was the final Star Wars movie of the new trilogy?
Good question. I don't even know. Wasn't it the
first one was The Force Awakens. The second was
it the one that everyone hated and you liked?
No, I thought that was The Last Jedi. Wait, I'm so confused. I'm actually gonna have to look this up. New Star Wars trilogy.
I'm so out of that too. I'm like, Baby Yoda.
You know what? The show was pretty good. It's not giving me anything. Now I'm gonna have to literally look up Star Wars movies because it's given me this idea that apparently they're looking at another 3 movies, so it's giving me all that. Okay, yeah, the Last Jedi was the second one. Rise of Skywalker was the third one. Point is, it took me 3 days to watch that, and then after that, it was only saying, here's your recommendations, Star Wars things.
Yeah.
And because I also watched The Mandalorian, and I was like, the Mandalorian I watched, it was interesting, and I did enjoy it. Last Skywalker, Last Skywalker, was it? No, Rise. What did I just say?
I think it said Rise of the Skywalker.
Rise of the Skywalker? No, Rise of Skywalker. Well, because it was
Skywalking here.
This is what I'm saying. I don't care about these movies at all. I'm gonna have to look this up again. Star Wars movies. What did I just say? The Rise of Skywalker. I was right. The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker, which really feels like it should be the other way around. It should be The Rise of Skywalker, then The Last Jedi for like The Empire Strikes Back, then The Force Awakens. That's what it should be, title-wise.
Well, you got
It should go back. The Rise of Skywalker is the Rise. Rise is always supposed to be the first one. That's what it should be, except then you had the third Dark Knight movie was Dark Knight Rises, which was just then you had Dark Knight, now you have Dark Knight Rises. Why would you even do that? That's bad SEO.
So that just means they're over.
Just in the outset.
They mean Rise like they're overcoming challenges and stuff, or are they just waking up earlier?
Honestly, yes, that's what. Yes, that's what it is.
Earlier fights crime at daytime.
They're waking up earlier. Good job. Let's see. What was the Planet of the Apes? The Planet of the Apes movies? It was
Rise of the Planet of the Apes?
Yeah, but the first... So, wait. Hold on a second. The first one was Rise of the Planet of the Apes, right? That was 2011?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and then the second was Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And then the third was War for the Planet of the Apes. I guess I'm kind of okay with War being the last one, I guess. But I think it should be Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and then Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Because Dawn is before Rise.
Well, I mean, I would think. Unless you're rising at dawn.
Yeah, but I think...
Point is...
I think you're seeing it more of like a schedule, and they're seeing it more like... a battle that's a boiling tension.
A boiling tension?
Yeah.
That's a fantastic log line. Two things about these movies that we're about to review, and I swear we will review them aside from this banter. Listen, you sign up for this podcast, you get a little banter. That's what happens. This has two of the polar opposites of the two ways you can title something. One is the single word title. That annoys me sometimes. I think the single word title is a bit art housey, a bit whatever. Then you have what I really enjoy, which is the long title, very pulpy, very very gothic novel kind of thing. Raya and the Last Dragon, right? That's a very storybook title. And then you have Soul, which is just going off of a single title. I think things like Inside Out, The Lion King, those are your standard titles. Those are like, 2 words, 3 words.
Yeah.
But the one word and then the multiple, the full sentence or the full phrase, I think are the two opposite ends that you can get on titles. I just thought of that just now. What do you think about that? What do you think about that for film analysis?
My favorite long title is "Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood."
Yeah. How about I was going to say Dr. Feelgood. Strangelove. Dr. Strangelove.
Oh, okay.
And Dr. Strangelove is the full title is Dr. Strangelove or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Love the Bum?
That's another one. The bomb. Did you never see Dr. Strangelove?
No.
Okay, all right. Stop worrying.
Love the Bum.
Love the Bum.
That's like a, I don't know, bumper sticker if I ever seen one.
All right, well, I guess, anyway, I just wanted to say about the theaters now, the vaccines. We are both, I think I am going to be fully vaccinated, and the vaccination is going to be in full effect by the time that this podcast comes out. And you are already, as we said in a previous episode, street legal.
Yep. Fully vax.
Yeah, so it's funny. One of our friends was talking about renting out a theater because, obviously it was like the only way that he was ever going to rent out a theater was during the pandemic, and he wanted to rent out a theater with just a few people. I don't think that's going to happen, but now that technically, I think New York is looking at opening up fully in July, which means everything will be back. There's going to be no restaurant curfews, and theaters will be open back up and everything. I hope that they keep this release strategy. And it's going to be very interesting to see, especially with HBO Max, because HBO Max is releasing all of the WB stuff through HBO, all the Warner Brothers stuff. So the Snyder Cut was there. Mortal Kombat was there. Godzilla vs. Kong was there. And by the way, if there was ever going to be a movie that I would want to watch on the big screen, it was going to be Godzilla vs. Kong.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
The big monster fights, great. It's great fun. Well,
yes.
Let's talk about Soul. I'm putting you up first.
All right. So,
premise, just to recap. Premise is, I have not seen Soul. You have seen Soul. You have not seen Raya. I have seen Raya. So you are going to review it at me.
Yeah.
And I am going to review it at you. And we can ask questions, keep the review kind of going. But take it away, Rob.
All right, I worked really hard on structuring this because I am famously known for.
Wait, I'm sorry. I need to get a beer real quick.
Very nice, very nice.
Do you have a drink?
Yeah. I'm at the tail end of this drink, but.
Oh, okay, the warm part. Got it. Yeah. All right, cheers. All right, do your thing.
I am famously known for not really describing a film in great detail.
We start every commentary track with me asking you to describe a movie, and you describe it shot for shot.
Yeah, and then I tend to branch out, and it's a mess. So I tried structuring this in the best way I can, and the best way I can do is related to me. So Soul is about a middle school music teacher, who is not exactly happy with what he's doing, and there is a opportunity that he gets from work that will benefit him greatly, but he's still not happy because he knows he's going to have to work there a little longer.
Okay.
But then this other opportunity comes from a former student where he gets to perform at a jazz club and really perform it and do what he really loves. So he tries out for it. He gets the gig. This is all in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything. Once he gets the gig, he goes to celebrate. However, something unfortunate happens, and he dies. And it ends. How great would it be if he falls down the manhole and then the credits start rolling?
Wait. Is that how he dies?
Yeah, he falls down the manhole. Which,
listen, I know that happens, but on the choice of ways to kill off your protagonist and kick off the film. I mean, I don't want to say this because I'm always distracted and looking on my phone, and I know once I say that that's a silly way to go, that's gonna be the way that I go. But you couldn't pick anything else. You couldn't pick another way. Sorry, I know.
Yeah, he could have been by a construction site, and maybe they're like, "Look out!" and then a ton of bricks. But I guess they didn't want to make it gruesome. But odds are you probably break your legs or something if you just fall down. But
well, no, people do fall down manhole covers and they die. There's people that one of the things. It's just for people who don't live in New York. One of the things when you're walking on the sidewalk, storefronts often have these. Basically, they look like storm entrances for basements or cellars or crawl spaces in country houses. Like they're two doors, they're two metal doors that are on the sidewalk that open up, and then they have stairs that go down into the basement area, so you can enter from the outside. And that's so that you can bring things in and take things out, like trash or items or whatever, without going through the store itself. So for health codes and things, but they often leave those open, and you can just be walking along. forbid that one of them opens up all the way and it goes flat, like flush with the sidewalk, and you're just like, do, 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 and you're walking, you're not really paying attention. You may put your foot on one of those and think, I'm walking over one of these closed things. But since it's open, you don't know what's happening, you fall in there, and yada, 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 boom, 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 break your neck, and it's donezo.
Yeah. It's possible.
You know, we're trying to keep this a clean episode. I don't know, is that on the edge?
Dunzo?
No, it's in it's a children's movie. He the Danger Zone. He he falls down the. Nah, it's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna say that we can still call this a clean episode because the thing that we're reviewing is rated G.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna call this. This is fine as a clean episode.
We're good
Don't
so
at me.
far. So
Sure.
Joe.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail your perfectly prepared thing. It was just, I played Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it is played as a joke as you falling down a sewer, and he's like, "What? Who turned the lights out?" And this is how we. Anyway.
Or your favorite. I'm okay.
Oh, I hate the I'm okay. I hate the. This is one case where you needed the I'm okay.
Yeah,
because he was not okay. Yeah.
My Chemical Romance.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, so Joe. Oh, also, he's voiced by Jamie Foxx, which you completely forget.
Ray Charles.
Yeah. Because a lot of times animators, or in animation movies, whenever they have to start, they'll try to make the character look like the actor, and I always hated that. So you forget that that's Jamie Foxx. Not that you want to forget that it's Jamie Foxx, but you don't want to get distracted by that. When he dies, he ends up. What they didn't call heaven, but it's called the not the Great Beyond, but it's called. Let me just.
REM.
Oh, is that an REM album?
Are you waiting for me to respond? You were looking at your notes. I thought no.
It's the Great Before, I believe.
Ah.
So he decides he doesn't want to die. Everyone else is completely. They're all on an escalator, and they're all like ready to die, and he's just like, no, I can't. So he escapes, and he goes into where these souls are, where they're pretty much in training to become living creatures, living people. And he's in charge of he kind of lied and became a mentor to a character named 22, who's voiced by Tina Fey.
22 has some significance, I'm assuming.
She's just like, I guess, the 22nd person of the soul group. I guess, I don't know, but she.
All right, I got it. Yeah.
I say she, but it really is just a non-binary character, I guess.
Gotcha.
Has no desire to go into the world. Just like, I like it here. This is great. I don't want to be there. So every trainer she had, Muhammad Ali, Albert Einstein, Abraham Lincoln, tried their best to train this person and influence them to earn this badge where they can go into the earth and become this person. And they failed. So now Joe's in charge. Do you know about like the twist that happens during the...
Well, we can't say the twist because, this is a review. This isn't like...
Okay.
We're not spoiling anything.
So when I first saw the trailer of this, I was just like, oh, man. It's just like... Because I was excited to see the city environment. I was excited to see, like... It was interesting seeing, not only like a black lead, but also... a middle-aged man being the star of the thing. This is what's perfect about this the movie, that it came out during this time. It was during the pandemic where we were kind of forced to decide what we want to do with our lives, because everything was kind of put on hold. And this whole movie is pretty much not, the main focus is not necessarily death and the afterlife. It's almost kind of like accepting or deciding, almost like trying to answer at their best the meaning of what life is. Not only just kind of if it wasn't like cheesy enough where it's just like, just be happy with who you are. They didn't try to summit. What is the word?
Sum it up.
Sum it up. Yeah, there we go.
You were looking. I'm sorry. You were looking for the word "it." You're doing great. You're doing great, Rob.
Summer it up. It's fun. So back to relating this movie to me. Watching this movie kind of just, it especially meant more during the pandemic. What we were talking about in the previous episode, where just my life was about to start. Everything was kind of, the ball was rolling, and then everything was kind of put to a hold. Of course, I didn't fall down a manhole and die, but it felt like that.
Well, that's just because you never go outside.
That's true.
You did, however, like, what was it? It was like a construction thing or something. You like smashed your toe on some.
Oh yeah, during the Christian.
Oh, it was a manhole cover.
Yeah, I broke 3 toes. No, actually, if
you did smash your
foot
on a manhole cover that was not properly,
or a bump on the street, but it's just like that whole that was not fun.
I'm just trying to call back. You said related to you, and I'm just trying to call it back. You said you didn't fall down a manhole cover, and the only reason you didn't fall in a manhole cover is because you broke your toes before you fell in.
It was just like Soul, but it was the sole of my foot.
Oh God, I was just gonna say that. All right, sorry. Go ahead. Keep reviewing. So right now you're still in your plot synopsis.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
All right.
Before it falls apart. There is a weird thing where they can kind of transfer back to the Earth somehow, and I feel like this is where the plot holes kind of get all kind of weird, because there is a thing called the zone. I don't know if they call it the zone there, but
the auto zone.
Get in the zone. Auto zone.
Well, they're trying to get into it, right?
Yeah, they're trying to get into the auto zone.
Trying to get into
so they could drive out of there. But so like they don't necessarily call it the zone, but it's similar to Ratatouille whenever he eats and he's in that world,
Oh, the synesthesia. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like there is a moment where he's playing the piano and he's in this kind of like black void all around him, this space kind of thing. And that is linked to the Great Before, kind of. So there is a way of kind of going through that. So there is kind of a weird, gladly they don't focus on these blobby characters too much, which I thought that was going to be the whole other half of the movie, the inside out looking characters.
Yeah.
Thankfully they go back fairly quickly, so they're not too much, because I was kind of disappointed in thinking that it was going to be that for most of the time. 22, who was the person that Joe was mentoring, the soul, I thought was going to be annoying, because it's supposed to be this kind of annoying character.
How dare you say that of Tina Fey? No, I'm just kidding.
But like, the character was good, and something happens where they go back to the Earth, and oddly enough, I'm going to say this, it's going to sound weird. The character kind of reminds me of Eric Trump from Our Cartoon President. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but I feel like that
is a weird thing to say.
That was the flaw of Our Cartoon President, of making Eric Trump kind of like this Pinky in the Brain-ish kind of character, like a child. So only in that kind of way, where it's just the childlike wonder, because it's a soul that's in the Earth for the first time, experiencing reality. As far as the characters go, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the situation that he was put in. Like I said, I'm relating this to me, and he got that opportunity at work where it was going to be better benefits for him, which I had similar experiences, and he wanted to leave it to become a performer. The thing that happens to them, he kind of brings out, he kind of learns from people in his world more to a certain way. And it kind of shows that he was mainly focused on music. and music only. And there's something that happens where he kind of realizes that there's more. There's more to life.
So is this? I mean, generally, usually when Pixar does a thing, they'll pick something and say, "Okay, we'll focus on this particular part of life or this particular thing, and then relate it to another part of life, or relate it to something bigger and more expansive anyway." Like there was Cars. I think I've mentioned this before about Cars and how the concept of Cars is great because it's a race car, from the big city kind of thing. It's just a NASCAR, it's just racing around in a circle, and then winds up in a town that has been neglected because Route 66 used to go through there, and then they refurbished Route 66 and it's not going through there anymore. Or maybe it was still going through there I think, but that's what happened to the actual Route 66 is there were some towns that just died just because they were built on the road trippers. They were built on people going through there and stopping on their way. And then when they decided to refurbish or change Route 66 in some way to make it, I guess, more streamlined or something, and then it didn't go through these towns anymore. These towns just evaporated. And so it was an interesting idea to put them there, but then to talk more about essentially was city, rural, and, we're all the same kind of thing. It was taking this idea and then expanding on it. So what do they do in this movie with this character? What's the wider thing do you think they're trying to say?
I guess the wider thing is everyone has a kind of tunnel vision of what they really want to do in life. And sometimes they kind of miss other opportunities in between that. So it's just although you're doing what you love, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be happy with it. You want to be an artist or an animator, and then you're doing freelance and you're realizing I'm doing what I want, but this is not what I expected,
And then before you know it, you fall down a manhole and that's it. It's curtains. It's curtains for you.
There's curtains down in manholes. Little fun fact.
That's your improv that you can jump off.
That is the only thing I got.
That's fine. Let's talk about the cast. Who's the voice cast, but also director, writer, stuff like that. Who's involved in the movie?
Well, like I said, Jamie Foxx. There's Tina Fey, and music is an interesting mix. In the Great Before, it's Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails, and
Atticus and what's his name? Atticus. I wanted to say Atticus Finch, but that's not right. Atticus Ross. Atticus Finch is To Kill a Mockingbird. Atticus Ross, the dynamic duo. Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross.
Yeah, and the jazzy music is by my coworker, John Baptiste.
That you are stretching the word coworker.
Just some guy that works with me.
Listen, I appreciate it, and he seems delightful, and I've always enjoyed his music. I mean, he had an album that came out. It's great. It's a duo. It's not just him, but they won an Oscar. Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, and John Baptiste just won an Oscar for best music.
Yeah. The Trent Reznor stuff is interesting, but I feel I don't know. It's a lot of kind of social networky sound. That his other stuff is.
He does soundscapes. He's just obsessed with soundscapes. That's what he does.
And I don't know. I feel it gets a lot of attention, but it doesn't seem as complex to me for some reason.
Well,
maybe I'm just
it's in.
It reminds me of all the 90s Nails tracks that I skipped. It was just this is gonna be it's gonna be 9 minutes of this.
Didn't Nine Inch Nails what was it, Ghosts, that they released?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know who
Anyway,
else was a ghost? Joe from Soul, who fell down a manhole.
So let's get back to that.
I really just enjoyed, especially the barbershop scene was great. And being growing up in the urban New York environment, I feel like the last movie that did it right was Spider-Man. What was it?
Into the Spider-Verse?
I was to say Into the Universe. They did it right, and Soul did it.
Enter the Great Before.
And there it was.
Well, okay, so I'm curious about that because I saw people sharing stuff, and I saw one thing that was shared, and it was an image of a sign twirler, and this is supposed to be set in Harlem. I was like, there's no. I used to live up there. I didn't see a single sign twirler.
Now I feel like
just imagine if there's a sign twirler in New York. I mean, someone's going to the hospital. Either from the sign twirler like hitting someone in the sidewalk, or for someone just going put down that sign.
Well, that's gentrification right there. The sign twirler.
Say that word one more time.
Gentrification.
This is my favorite. I so love this. I so love putting you on the spot. And then taking no responsibility for the fact that I mispronounce things, and then look them up and then edit them out so that I sound the most intelligent. Yeah. But also, I will say this: I can't do that anymore because I do have Final Cut. I guess I can do that, but you're the one who does the first cut, so you can do that for yourself as well.
Yeah, but I don't think I even said it right. At first, I almost said Jennification.
Gentrification is probably a good way to describe gentrification as well.
But overall, came out right in Christmas. Kind of a good feeling. I watched it with the family. You could tell it was good because they didn't look at their phones. They were really interested and invested in the story. And yeah, it's hard to really talk about it without kind of giving away some of the main aspects of it, but overall, I really like the way they ended it. I know some people in my family didn't like it, but I hate big dance numbers, and it left you kind of with the situation of like you kind of have to make this story of what happens after,
Okay.
So, yeah.
I mean, I don't hate that. You want to talk about the animation? I heard that the soul, like the actual souls themselves, the way that it was animated was very good and very interesting. Someone said something about a 2D 3D blend, and I didn't really it was like 2D animation in a 3D environment. I didn't really know what they were saying because from the trailers it looks all 3D. Sorry, I just hit my mic.
It might have been the characters that are kind of like the staff of the Great Before. They look like their designs are almost kind of like a continuous line kind of drawing. Okay. So, yeah, I'm guessing that's the characters that they were talking about.
I see.
Which I liked, because they could have just been regular looking, like the same kind of blobby characters as the souls. But, they chose to do that, which is also great because, you almost feel like everything is designed to be a toy. And you know that those character designs would be impossible to be kind of any kind of toy. I mean, it's possible, but
it's funny because I actually am reading something that says Doctor described the designs as, quote, a huge challenge as the animators are, quote, used to toys, cars, things that are much more substantial and easily referenced. Though he felt the animation team, quote, put some really cool stuff together. It's really indicative of those words, but also relatable. So yeah, to that point, it seems like that's a thing they were trying to avoid, that toy-like thing. Yeah,
there was a weird moment in the barbershop. Not a weird moment, but there was a character that they kind of introduced, and then that story kind of went nowhere. And I was wondering I thought they were trying to set up something with that. But when you see it, you'll get what I mean. It's right after the barbershop scene.
All right.
Yeah. But overall, it's great. It's kind of it's a good movie to kind of I don't know why people are saying, oh, this is more for adults than kids, just because they're not. There's no.
Is that what they're saying? Because it deals with death.
It deals with death. It deals with kind of like a lot of stuff that people our age would think about, like, you know, we're not necessarily in a place that we want to be, or something. You know, it's extra. Here's another word I'm going to mess up. Existential thoughts. It kind of deals with that stuff. But there are
what are the personality pavilions?
Personality pavilions.
Yeah, personality pavilions. It's like I see this thing that says the personality pavilions were designed to be, quote, abstract-looking shapes as a literal interpretation of the abstract ideas they represent. I'm assuming that's a thing in the Great Before. Wait, Great Before? Great Beyond? No, the Great Beyond. It says for the Great Beyond. That's what it says. You said the Great Before.
Really? I could have sworn they said.
Oh no, you're right. One for the new souls in the Great Before. Blah blah blah. But then this one says for the Great Beyond. You know what? I'm on Wikipedia. I think someone just messed up, and you know what? Everyone loves REM's The Great Beyond. And just can't get that out of their heads. I think, honestly, they just called it The Great Before because... Oh, no. Maybe... Wait. Is The Great Before Earth and The Great Beyond...
Oh, okay. The Great
Before
Before might be because that's the souls that are going to go to the Earth.
Oh, yeah. I see. I understand. Yep, okay. Gotcha. So it's the souls that go to the Earth, and then after they're done with their time on Earth, that's the Great Beyond.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. That's clever.
Yeah.
That's clever. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here on the Wikipedia page that's they captured MIDI data from sessions of musicians playing. You know what MIDI is?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, it's data. Like I have a MIDI keyboard over there. Is a full 88 key keyboard. That's how I used to write music. Back when I had time to write music. But you play it on the keyboard and you get the information of the keys that you're hitting, of the notes that you're hitting. That data goes into the computer, and then I could actually select and basically say, like, all right, my right hand is this instrument, my left hand is this instrument, or something like that. And then you could take the information and transpose it and say, all right, so this is all in the key of whatever. I want to go up a fifth from there. Like, there's all sorts of things you can do with that data. But the thing that the MIDI does is, instead of just filming someone playing the piano and just kind of guessing where their fingers are, the MIDI will actually tell you, because it's actually capturing the actual notes that are hit, it will tell you which key they're actually hitting. So you can compare that with the video with the MIDI data and go, all right, I know that he's doing this with his left hand, which is obscured in this video, or something like that. So they're able to get that music. I would imagine making a movie about a jazz musician. What instrument does he play?
Piano.
Does he play piano?
Yeah.
Piano. Okay. All right. I would imagine for a jazz pianist, the idea would be, like, you want to make sure that you're hitting the notes that he's actually playing. I mean, it's 2021. We're not doing that like. Sometimes you see that in like sitcoms and stuff like that, where there's the actor and they're kind of like swaying back and forth, and and their arms going up and down in a way that they weren't even listening to any music when this was happening. It's just like, move your arms.
Keyboard cat.
Exactly. Like someone playing a guitar and their hand is just like over all the strings, and they're just like strumming.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't do that anymore. Now we need to play the actual music. I would assume that's what they did. It'd be interesting because, I play a variety of instruments, and whenever I see, especially instruments being played in animation, a lot of times my mind is picking it out and going, that's not right. That's wrong. One of the things that actually really bothered me about it was well, I don't even know if I'll share it. On Our Cartoon President, there was I did the whole animation of the the election special of Pelosi and Schumer playing a concert, and Schumer had a guitar and Pelosi had a banjo. And while I was not in charge of designing the hands that went into the different chords, I did pay at least a little mind onto the chords of the way that they were playing, and at least the pattern that they were playing for Schumer. But I could not do that with Pelosi because the hand was doing a strum. Now, you can strum a banjo, but I can't remember if the song itself had a finger plucking banjo, but it was just weird to see her playing it like a guitar as opposed to playing it like a banjo, which is a finger plucking thing. Anyway, that was something that I've been holding onto my back like a backpack full of rocks for so long, and it's just been one of those things that I really look for in movies, especially piano.
Oh,
because piano should be so easy to get right.
Now I was trying to wonder if Tom from Tom and Jerry played it correctly.
I'm going to go ahead and say no. But it does make me wonder, actually. I don't even know if I know that they, in general, hit, not the right keys, but the right area of keys, like that of the Hungarian Rhapsody for, I think they were playing Hungarian Rhapsody in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, okay.
Daffy Duck and Donald Duck, when they were having their little duel.
Yeah.
I think they were playing at least relative positions on the piano, but obviously not the actual notes.
They were also playing it
They're
with
just like slamming their
tail feathers.
Shake your tail feathers. Are we going back to Ray Charles, Jamie Foxx?
Oh,
it all comes back to soul. Look at that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Anyway, do you have anything else to say about the movie? How about the animation? How'd the animation look? How'd the designs look? The character designs? You said, I was bringing up about how people were saying that this didn't feel like New York because of things like that, things that were very L.A., like sign twirlers and stuff like that. Like that's an L.A. thing. That's not a New York.
Well, I think that.
So why would you put that?
I think that guy was based on. Which actually he someone brought it up in social media. He's just like kind of really bearded hippie guy that runs around Manhattan. I don't know if you've probably seen him on people sharing him on Facebook or something. Not the Naked Cowboy, but he's just this kind of like crazy hippie looking guy. And I swear that he's based on that character in Soul is based on him.
He's the guy they do interviews with him, and he's like, oh, this, they always say, like, homeless man dropping knowledge or something like that. And he's
yeah.
You know, it's like that kind of, yeah. I know what you're talking about. But he's not a sign spinner.
No, but I guess they needed some kind of job for him for some reason. But he plays a more important factor in the movie than
anyway, that was just my point.
Yeah.
My point was about that. But other than that, did it feel like New York?
I think so. I think the classrooms, the school environment, the fluorescent lighting, it was nice to see Pixar's designs on black characters and different other nationalities, you know.
I did see something in the animation on Wikipedia. It says Soul is Pixar's first film to feature an African-American protagonist. Pixar was mindful of the history of racist imagery in animation and set out to create characters who are recognizably black while avoiding the stereotypes in old cartoons. And then Pete Docter. I don't even know if you talked about the director. We'll come back to that. But he said, quote, there's a long and painful history of charactered racist design tropes that were used to mock African Americans. According to Powers, who was he was on for story originally, and then he came on as co-director. Wait. I lost my place. according to Powers, the animators use lighting in a way that highlight the ethnic diversity in the living world. Pixar sought to capture fine details of these black characters, including the textures of black hair and the way light plays on various tones of black skin. Cinematographer Bradford Young worked as a lighting consultant on the film. You brought up Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah. And that was something that I thought about when they were talking about New York. And like, I remember when we watched that and we got out of it, it felt, not only did it feel like New York, they went to a lot of different parts of New York. It wasn't just the city, and it wasn't just, it was like, it was Queens and Brooklyn and the docks and like the parks, and it went all over the city.
Yeah. Oh, they definitely did it way better in Spider-Verse.
Yeah. And also Black Hispanic lead.
Yeah. It's weird seeing like this realistic looking, but also still very cartoony design, you know?
Yeah.
You kind of realize where Pixar came from, where they literally had to duplicate Andy because they couldn't make any more other character designs, you know, to making all kinds of different characters. So it was fun.
Yeah, have you seen their proto design for it was kind of like a proto Toy Story type thing, and you see the human characters in that. Oh, I guess was it a baby or was it a toddler?
Oh, my God, for Tin Toy, whatever it's called.
Yes. Oh my God, it was so disturbing.
Yeah, they had that, and then they had like this rubbery looking skin people, you know. So,
well, this will come up later, but they had it was a culture trust is what they call it. And that's something that Pixar, Disney does when they are going into any specific culture, anything that needs, like they did that with Moana, and I'll talk about it a little bit in Raya as well. But they created an internal culture trust composed of Black Pixar employees and hired several consultants, among whom were musicians Herbie Hancock, Terry Lynn Carrington, Quincy Jones, John Baptiste. Well, John Baptiste came with the film, right? So he's like his educator, Janae Aiko, and stars Questlove and David Diggs. Oh, stars, as in they were saying that they got the stars. They are stars. I was like, does it star Questlove and David Diggs? So anyway, that's a thing that Disney and Pixar seem to do. Pete Docter directed this, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm seeing on Wikipedia it says that he's the director, but then on IMDb it says that it was Pete Docter and then co-director Kemp Powers. And I think Kemp Powers was brought on as a writer originally. I think even in the Wikipedia it says he originally joined as co-writer early in development to help write the character Joe, and was originally given a 12-week contract, which was then extended. He was promoted co-director after his extensive contributions to the film, making him Pixar's first African-American co-director.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the thing gets greenlit back in 2016, I guess, is when they started working on it. Because, you know, all these Pixar films, I mean, all the big animated films take years and years to make. And it started back in 2016. And I think it started, let me see. Originally, I was actually seeing this. I was looking at this earlier. Yeah. Pixar chose to portray the film's main character as a musician because they wanted a profession, a quote profession the audience could root for, and settled for a musician after trying for a scientist, which quote didn't feel so naturally pure as a musician's life. What? What is not pure about a scientist looking for the natural laws and makings of life on Earth? But hey, you know, whatever. This is just this is going to get me off on a long thing about how the United States just kind of takes science and sciences and puts it down. That's nerd stuff. Let's play jazz, because all the cool people listen to jazz now. You know, in 2021, all the cool people listen to jazz. So let's
I think we're more of a fan of science now. I think if they knew how important science would have been right now, they would have changed their mind.
Yeah,
but science is science is completely different from jazz because they need to be accurate, and jazz is just free flowing. You can't just grab all kinds of beakers and pour stuff in a big beaker.
Yes, that's what it is. It's little beakers and big beakers. Because then you're not actually wrong. There are little beakers and big beakers, but yes, I will push back on that a little bit because it sounds like it. But Thelonious Monk, as the quote goes, knew how to play the wrong notes right, and there is a science to that as well.
That's true. I can be in a jazz group and just go in there playing things willy nilly. It wouldn't sound.
No,
right.
you would be. You would be Jerry the Mouse. It was just like playing, slamming his hands up.
And there will be a mousetrap underneath one of the keys somehow. So that's my review.
Well, okay.
I would have preferred one called Better Call Saul, where a lawyer is going to get his big case, and he dies, goes to hell, and that's all I got.
Okay.
That could be the sequel.
Can you say a little bit more about the animation? I'm curious about the animated elements. I mean, you said about the designs and things and how they're animated, but I'm curious about the animated elements in the movie, and if there are kind of bigger set pieces that make use of those animated elements. I'm assuming a lot of it has to be abstract. I mean, how do they depict music in the movie?
Well, that's whenever they went into that zone kind of thing. That's like I described with Ratatouille and merging different foods together. But I feel like they try to keep things a little more realistic, and they didn't spend a lot of time in the Great Before. But I feel like that's my least favorite aspect about it, and because the characters just are so simple, the designs, it just kind of made me, other than I guess they call it Jerry's. I think everyone there is called Jerry, from what I remember.
Okay.
But the soul characters themselves are just something I wasn't really fond of, just the way they looked. So that whole environment, it was cool looking, but I feel like it wasn't anything just kind of it didn't make me be like, oh wow, I would like to live in that world. But it was a different take on heaven because it's or a heaven-like environment. Let's see. Oh, there was how they kind of sneak away their little Easter eggs once in a while in a Pixar movie. They have an area where this is it reminds me of one of my battles where I just kind of I need an Easter egg. Let me just grab something from old files and throw it in there. It's pretty much all the Easter eggs in one room. So this is their haven of every kind of Pixar kind of Easter egg in this environment. So it's one of those scenes where you can pause and you'll just find lots of little things from other movies or maybe even movies coming out after. So, but the overall design, I think they try to keep things pretty realistic looking. It wasn't too wacky.
I'm looking, by the way, at this starring. So you said Jamie Foxx and you said Tina Fey. Graham Norton is in it.
Yeah, he's one of the continuous line people.
Okay.
And the other guy from the Chappelle Show.
Donnell Rawlings.
Yeah.
Rachel House is in it.
I don't know who that is.
She's well, you saw Thor Ragnarok, right? You might have seen that.
Oh yeah.
She was like the right-hand bodyguard, I guess, of Jeff Goldblum, the Grandmaster. But she's in a bunch of those movies. She was in Hunt for the Wilder People. She was the cop in that. If you haven't seen that, I think you'd really like it. But Alice or Elise, I don't know, but Braga, she's in it as well. She was in City of God. She's a Brazilian actor, but she was in I Am Legend. She was the other. There was not a whole bunch of people in I Am Legend.
Yeah.
So who was Alice Braga or Elise Braga?
I didn't go that deep into it.
Okay. Richard Ayoade. So it's either Ayoade or Ayoade. I don't know how you pronounce the last name, but he's the guy in the IT crowd.
Yeah.
He's in it as well. Do you know who he is?
I'm assuming they're all anyone British is probably the continuous line people.
Okay. Because then I have another couple. There's Felicia Rashad, Questlove, and Angela Bassett.
Okay,
and Angela Bassett is last on this list. What the hell? I can say hell, but no, maybe I can't because it's not referencing a place. Maybe I'm not allowed to say that.
Whatever. They saved the Bassett for last.
Lassett? They saved the Bassett for Lassett?
I think she played Joe's mother.
Oh, okay, all right.
I believe so.
Well, what about Felicia Rashad then?
Oh. Good question.
I'm looking here. It says Felicia Rashad played Libba, and Angela Bassett played Dorothea.
Damn, they can just say Joe's mom to help me out here.
I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming that I'm reading these right.
Tina Fey was 22.
It does say Tina Fey was 22. All right. Anyway, so is that it? You're all. I mean, they Soul won the Annies. It obviously won the Oscar for Best Animated Film because, of course, it did. It's a Pixar movie that we know that the Oscars don't watch the animated movies. They just go off of what looks like it would probably be a good one, and then they go for that.
Yeah. But I think this one was well-deserved, and I think Pixar had a streak of just kind of doing sequels and stuff, so it was nice to see them kind of bring it back to this kind of storytelling.
Yeah, and actually, I think Pete Docter, if it was 2016, Pete Docter was set as the director of this thing. I wonder if they brought on a co-director because Pete Docter had to take over for chief creative officer, I think, after John Lasseter stepped down. After his whole thing.
That whole.
Well, I'm trying to keep it a clean show. I don't know how much
fiasco.
Yeah. After his let's say string of bad touch, let's say.
Yeah, okay.
Well, those are phrases that they use, right? I'm trying to think of kids, we're reviewing 2 movies for kids. We got people who have kids that listen to our show. I want to make sure that
job didn't last there.
I get it. All right, you good? You finished?
I am done.
We're all good? You liked it. You would recommend it?
I would recommend it. Go watch it after this review.
I mean, if you got Disney Plus. If you got Disney Plus, you got no excuse.
That's true, and it's free. If you have Disney
Plus. It's not free. It's not free. It is.
You don't have to pay extra.
Disney Plus. Yes, you don't have to pay extra if you already have Disney Plus. If you already saw Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and you still have your Disney Plus access, you can watch Soul. Which, by the way, have you seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
No.
It's great.
I'm gonna watch.
It's great.
I did.
It's great.
You didn't like WandaVision, right?
I mean, I liked it all right. I liked what they were doing with it, I guess, but it was not the most. It's not the most enjoyable show ever. No.
Yeah.
It took a long time to get to where they were going, and I kind of, I think they could have done it a different way. But I really liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I love both of them. That's my review, my little mini review. If you even slightly liked Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan, you you will love them after the series.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice quick.
Okay.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah. How many times have you made that joke?
Oh, too many. But
Yeah, all right.
we haven't done a podcast in a while, so it's kind of like starting new.
That's not true. We did a podcast last week.
That's true. Well, we're bringing it back. So
Okay, I understand.
I didn't do that last week.
I understand.
So I got to do it in one of the episodes.
I get what you're saying. All right, so let's move on to my review. My review is Raya and the Last Dragon. Raya and the Last Dragon is a Disney movie. We just talked about Soul, which is a Pixar movie. Raya and the Last Dragon is a Disney movie. And I'm actually kind of curious because from the trailers, I'm assuming you saw the trailer, Rob.
Yeah. You know what? I saw the trailer very recently because I knew you were going to review it, so I didn't want to like accidentally see it somehow, you know? But watching the trailer.
Oh yeah, trip and fall and hit the play button.
Guess I'll have to watch it now. The batteries are dead on the remote. Watching the trailer, I kind of anything just kind of that looks like from a long like that. It looks like it would start in the beginning, go a long time ago, and it was like, oh boy. And I felt like that was what I was going to get into. But when I saw the trailer, it looked fun. It looked like the characters are interesting. And you know me with dragons, I don't really like dragons in my.
If there's one thing I know about Rob UFO is that Robbie does not like dragons.
That I don't even like to imagine dragons. That's how much I hate them.
Sail.
But yeah, after seeing the trailer, I was just like, oh, this kind of actually does look fun. So.
Yeah. Do you know anything about the movie? I'm curious. Like, if you could summarize what you think it is. Based on the trailer, what do you think?
She is a warrior, and she tags, but she's kind of a misfit, and she tags along with other misfits, and she meets a dragon who is goofy, not goofy, but just kind of like silly, who's the comic relief. That's about it.
Okay. It's you know what? Not bad. Pretty close, I guess. Basically, the general plot of the movie is that. So first of all, it's set in a fantasy world. It's set in this world called Kumandra. So it's not a particular place or a particular time, but it kind of plays on a bunch of different things. And it's dragons and humans once coexisted. Then there was this thing called the Droon that took over and turned everything to stone. Like they turned people to stone. They turned everything to stone. Basically, the dragons put all their power together and fend off the Droon with this magic gem. It's an orb-like gem. One of the tribes, one of the lands, is Heart. They're all based on different parts of the dragon. So there's Fang, Talon, there's Spine, there's Tail, and then Raya lives in Heart. And Heart is kind of the heart. It's a good place to it's a good place to start. Shoot, did not mean to rhyme right off the bat.
The heart is a good place to start.
I guess you got to drink.
Oh, I just have water now.
I know. So her father is the king, King Benja, and he invites all of the different representatives from the different lands to come to Heart to kind of come together, try to put the land back together again, to get all the tribes and put them back together again. Yada, yada, yada. Basically, the orb or the gem breaks and the Droon comes back. Like the Droon were held at bay because of the gem or the orb. And essentially, Raya is then going around and trying to put the gem back together again and get the tribes back together again to fend off the Droon. Those are the wide strokes. I'm trying not to say too much because it really is. It's an adventure film, and it's a classic thing about an adventure film is, first of all, you need a ragtag group for an adventure film. Every area you go to, you got to pick up a new person, right?
Yeah.
Adventure, I guess, adventure ensemble films or something. But there has been a couple things that has been said about the movie. One of them is related to the fact that the way that the gem or the orb breaks is because Raya, in very early on when they're all coming around, one of the characters that she meets is Namari. Namari is the daughter of the queen, I would assume, of Fang. I think it was Fang. And so they kind of meet, they're talking, they're hanging out, they're becoming friends, and then shock 'em on shock, which comes to a shock of no one. And I hope no one's going to be mad at me, because you see it in the trailer, like, you know that this is a conflict. You know that she fights this person. Obviously, this is a conflict. Obviously, when she's becoming friends with this person, they were after the orb. They were after the gem, because this is part of, like, Talon's thing. They were going to get the gem because Heart has all the power because they have the gem. I'm going to take the gem. And their arguments and their mistrust of everyone, that's how it all breaks. But a lot of people have said things about how Raya and Namari is like this love tension throughout the movie. And people are shipping them hard.
They're trying to make it happen.
They're trying to make it happen. Now, there's two super famous stories as far as love stories go. One is friends to lovers, right? They start as friends. Oh, I didn't know that I was next all this time. It was you, that kind of thing. Then there's enemies to lovers, right? I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. You're my worst enemy. You're trying to shut down my bookstore. But I actually love you, right? That thing.
Yeah.
Then there's the lesser known friends to enemies to lovers, which is what people are pointing this one at. They were friends, then there was a betrayal, and they have this conflict, and there's this tension between them. I will give you that. I'm not going to take any of this away. I don't know how much was made ambiguous so that people could read into whatever they needed to read into.
Yeah.
I really wish, like, Disney would just put their cards on the table and just do it. It has been long enough. We need some sort of LGBTQ love story or some sort of real explicit spoken connection in a movie like this. This is not it. They didn't say it.
They've hinted at it with the past characters, like in Onward. I guess the cop was the lesbian.
Sure, but that also feels like, remember when we watched Paranorman? And it turns out that the guy, he was like a bully or something. That guy, like, he was gay, I think.
Yeah.
And I think they said it at the very, very end, just like as an off comment. And it's so, just go in or don't. Disney is so safe on a lot of things. It causes this kind of weird problem where it's like the fandom has to do all the work for them. And I think actually to that point, back earlier, oh my God, I forgot the name already. What was the third Star Wars movie in the new trilogy?
Rise of the...
Oh, right.
Skywalker.
Skywalker. Thank you. Yes, it was Rise. Rise of the Skywalker? Or Rise of...
Skywalker.
Skywalkers? Rise of the Skywalkers? Plural? It doesn't matter.
Skywalker Rising.
It so doesn't matter. The point is, I remember all that time people were talking, maybe Finn and Poe, Finn and Poe, Finn and Poe. And then they had to throw in this little, like, maybe love interest with Kelly Marie Tran, who, by the way, plays Raya in Raya and the Last Dragon. They tried to do this, and then, oh man, the fans, like, and when I say the fans, this is not all the same fans, right? Because I'm going to say the fans twice now, and it's not the same fan. A selection of, quote, fans who are really just obsessives bullied her mercilessly over things like her ethnicity, her weight, and I think she quit her Instagram or Twitter or something like that. And it was, oh God, what was her tagline too? I think she deleted all her posts except for just saying, oh God, what was her? She had a great line.
By the way, while you're searching for that, it's Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
The Rise of Skywalker, not right. Okay, yeah. No, she deleted all of her tweets and all of her stuff, and she said, "Afraid but doing it anyway." And I thought, if that is the title of her memoir, like when she gets the time to write a memoir, it is "Afraid but doing it anyway." And it was, she has this great thing. I really encourage I'm not going to paraphrase it. I just really encourage anyone to go and read her. I think it was an op-ed, but read her bit in the New York Times where she talks all about that. And I think it's a very important read. So there was that love interest, and they did away with that. And then in that movie, whatever the Rise of Skywalker, right? Yeah. The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. Jeez, this is so bad. Now it's gotten to the point where like I have so many different versions of it in my head, I can't remember it. And they actually have a moment where I think she says, "Are you going to be okay? Or you want me to come with you?" He's like, No, just stay back. It's okay, friend or buddy or something. Like totally puts her in the friend zone just to make it explicit. Like, nope, don't worry. Finn is not dating her. Don't worry about that. Everyone at home. We're making that explicitly clear. And then like cut out all of her lines. And it was awful. I liked Rose in the second. I liked the second movie and everyone hated it, but I liked what they did because they did something different. And then you have Finn and Poe, and I swear I'll get back to Ryan, there's Last Dragon. But then you have Finn and Poe. People are saying they're shipping them. They're saying, yeah, this is the thing. And then they have Poe. There's Carrie Russell, I think maybe. But it was just a very short scene where we meet Poe's ex-girlfriend, and they share kind of a thing. And it's just like, it was like that movie was almost actively trying to tell everyone they're not into each other. They like members of the opposite sex, and don't worry, Finn also doesn't like Rose, but he does like women. I saw that and I just thought it was so insulting top to bottom. Yeah. And it felt so reactionary. Anyway, Disney has a long history of doing stuff like this, and it gets very annoying. And the fans really need to do a lot of work.
Knowing Disney, they would make two versions of it, an American version and then a version that they could send to other countries that is not gay, because I feel like that might be the major issue with it.
You think so? Yeah. You think it's something like going to a conservative country, conservative outlet?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that may be true. That may be true. I don't know if that's true. But the problem is that it sounds true. That sounds like what happened, which is really disappointing. But I guess they're just waiting until they see that it is, explicitly monetarily viable, and then they'll go all in, because that's what Disney does. They will wait until a barrier is broken, and then they look and they see, is there any risk over there? And if they don't see any risk, they'll jump in and be like, look how progressive we are.
Yeah. They send out the guinea pig.
Raya then finds Sisu, the dragon. Sorry to get off on that whole thing, but there's a lot to this. Raya and Sisu, Raya finds Sisu, which is a cool scene, by the way. Sisu kind of comes together through water. It's like water droplets. It's a cool scene. And then they journey together to get kind of pieces of the gem to put back together. So Raya, one of the first scenes that we see, she's very Lara Croft. combined with, and a lot of people have brought up Korra. Some people have said how Korra was a better representation of Southeast Asian cultures than Raya was, but that's a whole separate thing that I guess will come a little bit later, and I can't really speak to that as well as just tell you to link to articles, I guess. There's some cool things I read about the cinematography of it. The color script for the movie must have been amazing. They had various different places wherever you went. There was one place would be focused on like lush greenland, one is focused on waterland, one is focused on desert and mountains, and there's all kinds of different places, and with that comes different colors. So the color script must have been very interesting. It was very colorful, is well rendered, and a lot of this stuff was I don't know how much of it was done from home. I imagine that they were pretty far in the animation by the time that they went home. So I would imagine that a lot of the editing was going on at home, and maybe some of the finalizing was going on at home after getting the work from home order in the pandemic. But I mean, it released so quickly after. I think a lot of the shots were done or close to being done, and then some of the editing need to be done from home. But there were some things like this trades and things. A big theme of the movie is trust, and what I read was that they gave light sources for the scenes in which you trust someone or to depict trust that would give you a bokeh effect. Do you know what a bokeh effect is?
No.
You know, like it's like it looks like a pill. It's like kind of the light pills. They're like light marks, right? Mm-hmm. On a spill, yeah. So they would give you kind of this nice glow, this nice feeling of warm glow, and then there was mistrust. They used heavy film grain over the scenes with mistrust. Yeah. And I guess they went back to some Kodak thing. I don't know. I read it on Animation World magazine. I encourage you to watch that or read that as well, because it's a really, it's an interesting thing describing that and the martial arts, which I do have to talk about a little bit. I'm getting a little long-winded here. There's a lot of stuff to get through.
As far as like is there anything that you can compare it to as far as like visually? Does it feel like a Disney movie?
So this is the thing. Once someone said Korra, and they kept saying Korra, like, man, it does feel a lot like Korra, but I think it's just the fantasy worlds, the martial arts, and the setting. I was not aware of this, but I guess it depicts Southeast Asian cultures in Korra. And I guess that was a part of a theme of the show. So, well, not exactly, because it is a fantasy world as well, but at least the facade of it. Yeah. And so I can see that in this, and it's hard to see anything that's not Korra or Avatar or something in something like this. But there's some things that made me feel a little bit like the Dark Crystal, and it's really just because there's a giant pill bug in the movie. It was just, I don't know, it just made me feel like one of the creatures that would have been the Dark Crystal. Yeah. But being that it's a fantasy world, it deals with a giant crystal, a giant gem that has been broken, and you need to put it back together again. And it's this kind of adventure film. When I first watched it, I got feelings of Dark Crystal. After people said Korra, I was like, oh, I can kind of see that too. Even though I watched Korra, but I think I only saw the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But I didn't immediately make the connection between that. I was getting Dark Crystal vibes because I'm old.
What was your selling point when you saw the trailer? Like when I saw Soul, first was the environment, and then seeing how he was going to get out of the situation. What was going to be the outcome of him dying and stuff.
So first, I like adventure films. That's the first thing. And second, fight scenes. I was very interested in the fight scenes and what they were doing with them. And I'll talk about the martial arts. They as we're talking about Southeast Asian cultures and representation stuff. They brought a lot of stuff. There was like I noticed the sword. That's I don't know how you pronounce it. It's a Kris sword, I think, Kris. It's very swirly, right? It has this. It's a wavy blade.
Yeah.
And then they had Arnis sticks, which are kind of like a rattan. That's from Kali or Arnis or Eskrima or whatever version of Filipino martial arts you want to say. Then there were some moves in there from Muay Thai. I don't know if it's pronounced Pencak Silat. I think it's Pencak Silat from Indonesia, which is a very low stance martial art from what I understand. The different places where they went and the scenes looked like I was going to get a lot of different types of martial arts, and I kind of wanted to see animated martial arts in the movie. I thought that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I got it. I mean, I got a lot of stuff. I guess one of the writers was Ki Wing, and apparently he specializes in Southeast Asian martial arts. So he started like saying, "Oh, what if it looked like this? What if they did this?" And was sending clips and things. And then he introduced the team to Maggie McDonald, who ended up becoming the stunt coordinator and did all the fight choreography. And so Maggie McDonald came in and did all that. And she was a stunt performer, I guess, on Hunger Games. But having they wanted a female stunt coordinator, specifically because of things like, we had one of the major fight scenes is, well, the two characters that I said were shipped early on, which was Raya and Namari, and they have this big fight scene. That fight scene looks great, which, by the way, I don't know if you watch those stunt performers react videos on Corridor Crew.
No.
But Lauren Mary Kim and Amy Johnston are two stunt performers that show up on that. They are the two mocap stunt performers who are fighting against each other in that scene, which is just kind of fun.
Huh.
Yeah, I've liked that series of the stunt performers. The guys can get a little much, very YouTubey, but hey, I mean, we get YouTubey sometimes too, so it's fine.
I watch the special effects people watch special effects in movies.
You mean the visual effects?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Sometimes it could be a little, like be a lot, but I mean, a lot. I think getting a lot of kids into like visual effects, and they have a lot of really good points on stuff. So like, I'm not saying their stuff is really good. It's just anyway, the stunt performer stuff is very interesting because people do not talk to stunt performers very much, and I really, really appreciate them highlighting that, and I really appreciate they also highlight visual effects, but because I'm in animation, I tend to be in that conversation more. I'm not in the conversation with stunt performers, so that's a different thing.
Yeah.
But the martial arts was great. It was a very the way that they chose to film the shots. I'm going to say film because it does feel like it was planned out, almost like this is what it would look like if you took the previs of a lot of modern day martial arts films, a lot of modern day action films. If you took the previs and finished it, it's like that. But that sounds insulting. But what I mean is like it is all the planning that goes into deciding the moves and where the camera's going to be and how the camera's going to move, and when is the camera locked off, when will the camera be handheld, things like that to really aid in the immersive feeling of making you feel like sometimes you want to feel like you're in the fight, sometimes you want to feel like you're just watching the fight, and there were times in that battle where you're just watching these two people where you're like, you don't want to see them fight. You want to see them like they were so close to coming together, and you just want to see them come together, and they're just in this moment of high tension and high conflict, and now they're fighting, and it's almost like you're just a friend going, guys, don't fight, don't fight.
Yeah.
And I have I like adventure films. Now, the one thing that I do not like is I do not like fantasy films. And that is where I thought it was going to lose me, was in the fantasy aspect.
Yeah.
Now, for me, it glossed over that stuff pretty fast and just got to, here's the world, here's what you need to know, And this is where the stereotypes come in. It's like this, this character, this is what this character is about. You know this character, this is what this character is about. I don't need much more information than that. I get your tribe is warlike. Your tribe is likes food. Your tribe, you were left on your own. Like, I kind of get these stereotypes of characters, and it helps to read it a little faster, and then you just get straight into the movie. And I think it was very effective that way.
Now, what was like the fantasy aspect that you thought did you enjoy any of the
dragons?
Okay.
I mean, I think we talked about dragons before. Like, I'm not the biggest fan. I don't hate dragons. I like dragons as a concept. Cinematically, I don't tend to like dragons. No. There's a difference between there is something about the cinematic nature of some things that I think is important, and some things I don't think translate all that well. And I've never really been awed by dragons on film.
Yeah,
it's just
dragons,
it's like, oh, cool, I guess.
But dinosaurs, yes.
Dinosaurs, yes, exactly. And I think it's mostly because with dinosaurs, you have to at least play by some rules. Where dragons, it's like, all right, what type of dragon is this? You tell me. How do they? Because then I have to learn. It's like, I don't know. And then they fly, and it's a whole thing. Anyway, this guy who I'm reading out, this guy Dressel, who I'm having a hard time seeing his name at the moment, but he was talking about the camera angles and aesthetics for the fight scenes, and we're saying that we wanted to make sure that we had multiple fights in the film that wanted each one to have a different feel to it. He was also the director of cinematography and layout on Moana as well as Big Hero 6. Moana to a lesser extent, but Big Hero 6 had a lot of action scenes, a lot of fight scenes in it. And he was saying that not just to be visually different, but to feel different based on what point of the story we were in, how the characters were reacting together. And I think that worked very, very well. They chose shallow lenses for a scene between Raya and her father because it was a connection point, trust, a deeper focus for rough fighting between Raya and Namari, lyrical anime styles for certain fights to bring a more surreal feel, and our version of taking things out of the box and beyond what people are used to seeing. That's very interview-esque words, but those first two parts are great. Shallow lenses and the deeper focus. I thought that the cinematography and the way that it was done, the animation was very good. The use of the animated camera was very good. The lighting was very good, and the martial arts, the way the fight scenes were done.
Did the fight scenes really look like? Did they look like when there was a punch? Did it feel like, oh, that hurts?
Yes. Now to a point though, because there were some parts where with animation you can get a little floaty on some things, and I think there were some parts that were kind of like that. But you have to float a little bit in order to land harder, right? Sometimes that's just kind of like the anticipation part of it. You're in the air, hold in the air for a second before landing harder, right? That's the idea, and that's an aesthetic thing. That's a choice. That didn't really bother me all that much. But yeah, when someone got hit. It felt like a hit, but it felt like a hit the way that it feels like a hit in martial arts films, right?
Yeah. What was better, the King Kong versus Godzilla fight or fight scenes in here?
The fight scenes in here were much better, but the fight scenes in Godzilla versus King Kong, I was watching by myself, and I don't mind saying that I reacted out loud to the raucous ridiculousness that was on. It was pure nonsense on my screen.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, when he takes an axe made of Godzilla's like dorsal fin thing, and he smacks Godzilla in the face with it. I mean, of course, that's one of those moments that's like,
Yeah.
What is there, 60 years of Godzilla movies, you know, of Godzilla and Kong movies? That's an unfair comparison.
Definitely great seeing Godzilla's tiny head get punched.
Yeah.
I say tiny
Godzilla
head.
does have a yeah. Yeah.
It is big, but tiny. What? We're keeping it clean. This is
Yeah. Got it. Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Well,
last question.
Yep.
Is this something that you would prefer to see in the theaters?
So I actually think this would have been very nice to see in a theater, but I'm going to be honest. As a 38-year-old a human man, I feel like it would be. It is one of those things where I would have to at least go with another person. Like I can't be going to a movie by myself watching this movie. Like I think I would be okay going to Seoul by myself. I think if I went by myself to this movie, it would be one of those where like the ticket counter people would be like, really? Just you?
Yeah. And was it worth
it skews younger, you know.
Yeah. And was it worth $30?
Yeah, I watched it twice.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I watched it once, and then I went back and I watched it again for animation purposes. I watched it. I just wanted to see some of the scenes, some of the special effects. Okay, but it really was the fight scenes. I did enjoy watching the fight scenes. That was a selling point for me, and I don't want to oversell it. It's not the most amazing fight scenes in the world, but we don't really get that all that often. And I remember my animated fight scenes are very special. And I think we can all at least agree on that. Usually when you get an animated fight scene, it's a very simple thing. And I remember, I talked about this before, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 2007, the CG animated movie. The fight scene between Leo and Raph on the rooftop in the rain was amazing. It was amazing. And it was amazing because it was an actual fight scene that had some form of choreography. Like, I don't even think they actually choreographed it. I think the animators just like boarded it out themselves, like with no martial arts experience. They just kind of like watching martial arts movies. They just kind of like made it up. And I mean, hey, that's what martial arts is. Given enough time, you can make stuff up. But
it's like jazz.
It's like jazz. That's right. I mean, it is kind of. I mean, that's what boxing is. It's the sweet science.
Sweet science.
Like what Joe was gonna be, a scientist, until they decided that he didn't live a cool enough life. Decided to make him a jazz musician.
Well, I don't know if middle school music teacher is cooler than.
Oh, sorry. It wasn't cool. It was pure.
Yeah.
He didn't live a pure enough life.
Not these soulless scientists who spend their time in a lab.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is it a scientist, and then they go to the great beyond. It's like, you don't have a soul. You're a scientist.
Just goes there. This doesn't exist. None of this exists.
Awful. Yeah, no. I think fight scenes are kind of rare in the bigger budget animated movies that come out in the United States. Yeah. So it's kind of a special thing when you see something like that. So I was interested in it. I thought it'd be fun, and it was very fun. I did enjoy it, and I really liked the ending. The ending's hokey, but I liked it. I think, I don't know, pandemic, whatever, I don't know, making me feel like we got to get together, but it felt nice. No, I think, yeah, no, definitely. I think the designs, the world, everything, everything stands up. Yeah, totally.
All right, so I'll maybe now, since you talked about that, I'll watch it, and you'll watch Soul.
Oh, I'll definitely watch Soul. I was actually putting off watching Soul until we could do this episode. To be totally honest, because we were waiting for like, I don't know, 1 or 2 weeks to do this episode, and I was like, God, there were some times where I was sitting down thinking, I could just watch it like right now, but I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I do have to say that one of the things that, and I'm not going to talk all that much about it because I'm not an expert in this area, but there are some questions about the Asian representation in the movie, and specifically it was about the Southeast Asian representation. There's a quote that came from, like, I guess, a press release from Disney that said, Disney wanted to, quote, pay homage to Southeast Asia by creating the fantasy world of Sumatra to look like various lands inspired by the fabrics, colors, and decor found in those Southeast Asian regions. It has been criticized mostly, I think, for not having Southeast Asian, or I guess any Asian directors. It's Don Hall, Carlos Lopez Estrada, and co-directors Paul Briggs and John Ripa, I guess, are the directors. Not really casting very many Southeast Asian actors, East Asian actors, but not Southeast Asian actors. So just for clarification's sake, Southeast Asia, and I got the list. So I'm trying to make sure not to do this off the top of my head, but Brunei, Burma, or Myanmar, depending on where you are, how you determine the current government. Not getting into that. Cambodia, Timor-Leste, or Timor-Leste, I don't know how you pronounce it, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. That's Southeast Asia. Basically, south of China, east of India.
Yeah.
Southeast Asia. And so behind the scenes, it was co-written by, I said Ki Wing, which is, he's award-winning playwright. He's Vietnamese American. Wrote The Society, not to be confused with Society, the disgusting horror movie. And Adele Lim, who was is Malaysian American and wrote Crazy Rich Asians. There's also a Thai artist who was their head of story, Fawn Thorne. And then I already read out the directors. The score was by James Newton Howard. And then this is kind of, I mean, the directors, I already mentioned there's no Asian directors, but then, okay, score James Newton Howard. Okay, fine. Then we get into the outro song, Lead the Way, written and performed by, I've never heard of this person before, Janae Aiko, I guess. Which on the biography is an artist of partial Japanese heritage. I guess, I don't know. They list out all the cultural heritages of this artist, but Japanese would be East Asian. The casting, RAYA originally was Cassie Steele, who is a Filipino-Canadian actress, and then through a bunch of rewrites and I think a director change. Eventually, it ended up being cast to Kelly Marie Tran, who we mentioned earlier was Rose from the new Star Wars. She was also on Comedy Bang Bang, the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She was like she was just like a side person who like showed up, so like an intern or something like that.
Yeah.
But Vietnamese American, and I told you, I just encourage you to read her New York Times bit. Her parents were war refugees from Vietnam, and dad worked at Burger King for like 40 years, and mom worked at a funeral home, and they both took American names. She goes through her whole history, her family's history, and everything that she went through when she got into like the biggest franchise in the world, Star Wars, and started to see how awful people can be. And then we have Isaac Wang, who played Boone. He was the shrimp boat kid. He was the fast hacking kid, which I'm just saying now because I messed it up once and now I'm going to say it forever. But he's Lao and Chinese American actor. And then Talia Tran, who's a Vietnamese American actress. She played Noi, who was the con artist baby. So mostly just vocalizations, not really talking, right?
Oh, okay.
So Kelly, Isaac, and Talia are three Southeast Asian actors. That's what they're cast. But then the rest that make up the cast were Aquafina, played Sizu, who's the dragon, Chinese, Korean, American. Daniel Dae Kim, he played Raya's dad, King Benja, and he's Korean American. He was also on Lost. You remember? Everybody remembers Lost.
Yeah.
Gemma Chan played Namari, the Nemesis. She's British Chinese. Benedict Wong played Tong, the big warrior guy, who's one of the group, the ragtag group. He's also British Chinese. Sandra Oh was the mother, Varana, of Namari from Fang. She's Korean Canadian. And then, so these are all East Asian actors. That was part of the criticism, and then you have nobody has brought up Alan Tudyk, a famous Southeast Asian actor, Alan Tudyk. But he plays Tuk, the giant fuzzy pill bug. I just thought it funny when I was seeing the credits roll through, and I was like, Alan Tudyk. What is Alan? What is Alan Tudyk voicing? Turns out he's voicing the animal Tuk. But I mentioned earlier about the martial arts that there was a lot of Filipino martial arts, Arnis and Arnie Sticks, Kali being among them, and there are no actors of Filipino descent as a part of the main cast. So that was something that had some criticism to it. So anyway, I think mainly what I've seen is, and I want to say this, I just wanted to speak to it just to, in case you were wondering what the issue was or anything like that. This is kind of the issue, the idea that the setting was in Kumandra. I already told you it's kind of a fantasy world. It's kind of like your Middle Earths, your Westeros from Game of Thrones, that kind of thing. Mm. And so they didn't really focus on any particular culture in Southeast Asia, and then as far as casting an Asian cast, most of the Asian cast were like names, right? Benedict Wong is in Marvel. Sandra Oh, everyone knows Sandra Oh, and you cast names. Daniel Dae Kim, you cast names that Awkwafina, that don't necessarily represent the region of cultures that you're looking for. And so some people felt like, oh, so close, so close. Yeah. Cool that you got the set dressing and things like that. Very cool about that. But man, you could have just gone just a little bit farther and cast more Southeast Asian actors. I get that criticism, and I think it's important to at least say that you can hold multiple things at once. You can say, this is a big deal for a lot of people. Representation, good thing. Even if it's visual, conceptual, cultural call-outs. I think they actually called them Easter eggs at one point. One of the writers, let me get the quote right. Key said, quote, "It was like a bunch of Easter eggs culturally for all of us to be able to go, hey, you find your culture in this movie." Just like looking around and pointing. And so there is something to that. But someone's always going to want a little bit more, and it's always good to say, yeah, this is a good stepping stone. Don't stop here.
Yeah.
That's the important thing to realize, is that with criticism, and I had this conversation once recently about criticism versus constructive criticism. Criticism is an umbrella term for anything. You're criticizing things. You're critiquing things, right? Constructive criticism is really kind of, in my opinion, on you, meaning the person that is receiving the criticism. I can present it in a way where here is my assessment, and I can present it in a way with also, I'm presenting to you that this is constructive criticism. I'm communicating that to you by saying, here are some of the things that were bad. Here are some of the things you got right. Here are some of the ways that we could fix these things. That is constructive criticism. I am handing that to you. But you can also take any criticism that comes your way and turn it into constructive criticism by hearing the criticism and making it actionable. That part's on you.
Yeah.
The constructive part is your part. The criticism is kind of the base note of that. So I think that all of this should be taken in a healthy, quote, constructive criticism where you can take it, make it actionable. But from the outset, I mean, it's great. It looks good, and I think that at least from most of the reviews that I had seen from a cultural standpoint, were very positive in the idea that this was a very exciting time to be able to see Southeast Asian cultures represented in a major motion picture in this way. Could have gone further, didn't. The product that we're left with is something to be celebrated, but also to be like a mile marker. Great, we got here. Now let's go a little farther. Yeah. Kind of like the love interest. Yeah, we the audience are shipping them, but hey, next time, let's tell a story. Let's really get that out there.
Yeah, it would be amazing if they did
that's
that.
All good.
If they did that, and it'll just be it would be I guess a risk, but not. I don't know.
Well, it's only a risk if you think that the response is going to be some sort of backlash that's going to come back again. Like, it really depends on how much power do you think the people that are regressive are. Yeah. That's really it. Is how much power do you think they have? And apparently their assessment is that they think they have, a decent amount of power and just aren't willing to be the ones to do it first.
Yeah.
To do it in a big way. I don't want to say do it first. I mean, just to do it in a big way, a big budget for a company like Disney. I think to do anything is kind of like a big deal. I think also the thing is we get a little caught up in stuff like, okay, so Coco, right? You might look at Coco and be like, Coco had vast depictions of Mexican culture. And sure, that's true. But also Mexican culture has had a long history of terrible depictions. So this was just like, this was the end of a very, very long road to get to that. Disney itself has not been great about depicting Mexican culture on film. But okay, so there you go. Yada, yada, yada. Disney owns Pixar. Pixar makes Coco. Good representation. Thumbs up. Way to go, guys. Yeah. It only took like 80 years.
Now maybe work on a Puerto Rican cartoon. And they could be coquis. I think that's
I want to say a little bit about Kumandra, because I think one of the things that was talked about, I brought Middle Earth and Westeros, and Game of Thrones, for instance, is a fantasy world, right? It's a fantasy world. It's not set in any particular time. It's a fantasy place. It's not like, but it feels, I don't know, 13th, 14th, 15th century Europe, I guess. Kind of your War of Roses, which was 1450, 1500, 1450.
Oh, you're asking the wrong person.
Whatever. But like, it's very clear. It's the Lancasters and the Yorks, right? Lancasters equals Lannisters. Yorks equals Starks. It's not that hard. It's like it's a very thin line between those. Henry VI is the Mad King Ares. We got a lot of comparisons there. And so I think that when you have things, I read up on the fictional kingdom, Fang draws from Indonesian architecture. Talon has floating markets that are like those in Thailand. You have these things that Azki brought up in my quote earlier. They're like Easter eggs, right? You're kind of putting these little parts together. And I don't know what exactly the impetus for this is, but it feels like a very clear decision for Disney to do this, because they did send people out the way that they do for all their movies whenever they have to do anything. They got a cultural trust, the same way that they did with Soul, and they brought in anthropologists and linguists, and the linguists signed off on all the names, and they had people show them food, and there was architects to describe the architecture of the different places. They went traveling in Southeast Asia. They went around Vietnam and Thailand, and so there was definitely research that was being done, but to not set it in any one particular place and to mash them together into a hybrid, I don't know. I read something that was on like Mulan, having this a really, really bad reception, the live action Mulan, a really bad reception for the depictions of that story, and then Moana also had some backlashes to the depictions of Maui, who was a real a mythological god, and kind of making him buffoonish. I believe buffoon is the actual word that I had read associated with. So it may have been things like that they had veered away from and decided okay, instead of actually doing and talking about an actual myth or an actual place and locking ourselves into getting that representation exactly right, let's pepper in culture in the region and just kind of be like, these are the general sights and sounds and flavors that you'll get in this region, that kind of thing. I have a feeling like it was just a safe move for them. That's what they determined in their head. They just decided it's safer if we just make it fictional. But I mean, they did that before with Emperor's New Groove, where they do you remember Emperor's New Groove? Do you remember Emperor's New Groove was originally going to be this super serious Incan story, and then it ended up just turning into whatever it turned into.
I still have to see that documentary.
The Sweatbox?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's great. It's great. So I think it was originally going to be called the Kingdom of the Sun, which already just in the title sounds so dramatic. And Sting was going to do all the music, and he was all up for doing the music for this super serious thing. But I mean, even Aladdin's Agrabah is Middle East, but combined with East Asian, and the original story was set in China, but it's the storyteller. I think we talked about this before. The storyteller, I don't know. Something got messed up, or the person who heard the story heard it from someone in the Middle East or something like that. I don't know. Visually, it got all kind of messed up. But the story of Aladdin is supposed to be set in China, so it's not exactly like Disney has not done this before.
Yeah,
has taken some sort of cultural or mythological setting from the past or story from the past, and has merged it together into a hodgepodge and made people less than thrilled. I think even Aladdin, what was the line that they had to cut out of the movie? It was something about cutting hands off for stealing, and it was it's barbaric, but hey, it's home. I think they cut that part out.
Yeah.
So not great, because that's just othering the setting that you're supposed to be in, and I think it has Persian architecture. And it's
I was just insulted that they had Aladdin say no siree.
It's just it's a anachronism all over the place. But ultimately, when it comes down to it comes down to the story, and I think, and like I said, I feel like I have to say this because I have to share. I know that there's a lot of information out there, and what I worry about, and I will say this, that I don't remember if it was in a podcast episode or if it was in one of our lunchtime episodes that we were talking about the coronavirus, and people were freaking out, and it was very, very early on, and I was trying to stamp down a little bit of the hysteria. I mean, like, it's fine. Don't worry so much. It's fine. It's a different type of flu or whatever. But at the time that came out, at the time that was, there was all this, like, anti-Asian American violence, right? Anti-Asian violence that was happening in the United States and all over the world, in the UK as well, because of the coronavirus. People were getting assaulted. And the hysteria is real. It was a real problem. And we had a president who was making everything so difficult. That's the nicest way I can describe it.
Yeah.
So one of the things is I wanted to let's stamp down on this hysteria a little bit, and then it's back on the rise again. Now there's just been a rise in anti-Asian violence and assaults, and it's a very real thing. And it just so happened this did not come out because of that. This movie has been in production for a long time. It's a ridiculous concept that this movie was... Those are the two things that I read. Oh, Soul and Raya on Disney because Black Lives Matter and because, Asian American violence is in the news. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for just in order to sell their movies, Disney decided to go out on a rampage and I don't know, for decades, nay, hundreds of years, so violence leading up just so that they could promote this for that weekend because they knew everyone was home.
Yeah, they just whipped up something real quick just to,
Yeah, they got in their Wayback Machine and just caused all sorts of havoc, they don't care. No, it's a ridiculous concept, but it's also a ridiculous concept to read something like a news article, a blog that says that this gets Asian representation wrong, and then you just write it off. I would just encourage you to just read the articles, just read the reviews that they're saying, because a lot of times the headline will take whatever the negative aspect is, and in almost all the reviews that I read were, this is great for all these reasons, but man, I wish they went farther. I wish they went further, which is the more appropriate word, further. Farther. I wish they actually physically walked another 10 feet.
Yeah.
I wish they went further on this, and that is a very valid criticism. And if you ever read any criticism, meaning like critiques of film, there's always something in there that's like, this didn't work for me, or this was kind of a problem, or whatever. I just want to make sure that people, when they see reviews that are out there, that they're not just reading and going, oh, okay, well, I don't need to watch it then.
Yeah.
I think that's a real unfortunate part of this. Is
you don't want, companies like this to back down from doing stuff like this out of fear of like being completely accurate. And then no movies are made. That's the thing of different cultures.
Also, I don't mind saying the director. Let me look at these directors again. Don Hall is one of the directors. Paul Briggs is a co-director. Both of them worked on Big Hero 6. What did Big Hero 6 have?
Different characters of different cultures. And a fat robot. Oh, it was merging like San Francisco with...
Come on, man. You got it.
Japan?
Yeah, it's Japan. It's Tokyo.
Japan, San Francisco.
Yeah. No. San Francisco is what it was. Japan Francisco is not bad, actually. That's not bad. But they were going for two cities though. San Francisco.
Yeah.
Actually, man, Japan Francisco is pretty. That's a band name right there. It's not something that Disney has not done before. Disney's done it a ton. I think the story did well. They're trading on a lot of concepts here, trust and jealousy, love, mysticism, family, community. There's all those things that this movie's trading in. And from the reviews that I read, a lot of people who are even critical of the film also feel like it is a good step forward. They, just want more steps forward. That's the point.
Yeah.
There is a criticism to be had about putting all of your representation into one movie. like the idea that the fear, I think, is in, oh, you just took all of the, what is it, was it 11 countries, something like that? 11 countries all smushed together into one. There you go. There's your representation. And this will satiate you for a bit. And so we don't have to do another Southeast Asian focused movie for a while. Like, I think that's the fear.
Yeah.
And not wanting this to be like the only the only story that's out there for a bit.
Yeah. They definitely came a long way from It's a Small World After All, where it's kind of the same formula when you're grouping every country in a warehouse. Would you call it a warehouse? It's a ride.
You're on a boat, I think, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Actually, I kind of wonder about that. It's a small world. Are some of the countries even landlocked? Like, if you're on a boat, can you even get to some of those countries through water? I don't know all the countries that are in It's a Small World.
Yeah. We're going to have to make the trip.
Wait, is the name of the ride It's a Small World, or is it It's a Small World After All?
I think the full
It must be just It's a Small World, right?
I'm not 100% sure.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. All the voice actors did a great job. I think Kelly Marie Tran did an excellent job as Raya. Awkwafina, she was great fun. The dragon turns into a person at one point. You see it in the trailers.
Yeah.
And the person that she looks like, just, I don't know, maybe it's the clothes like hanging off her or something. I don't know. But it just looked like Awkwafina. I saw her in The Farewell, and she was really, really good in The Farewell. If you haven't seen that, it's very good.
I think the first time I saw her, she was hosting SNL. And I was like, I have no idea who this is.
Anyway, I just wanted to say that there's a line. I think it's, I'm paraphrasing. I actually might get this backward. But it was like, nobody trusts each other because the world is broken. Sisu tells Raya, maybe the world is broken because nobody trusts each other. That exchange, that back and forth, I think is the heart of the movie. That's the heart. That's the message of what it wants to get across. And I thought it was really good.
It's a good message.
It is a good message.
All right, so yeah, I guess I'm not a penny pincher or anything, but is there a time where it's gonna be not $30?
Well, yeah. I mean, eventually it's going to be on Disney Plus. Oh, man, that's the other thing. I totally forgot. The other criticism is that Disney Plus is not available in almost all of the Southeast Asian countries that were listed earlier. That's the other problem. I think it is available in 3, but I don't know which 3.
But is it in
sure.
theaters?
It must be available in theaters, but I mean, pandemic.
Yeah. Well, that sucks.
Yes, exactly. But I have premiere access to the movie, apparently. So one thing I'll say about this, I just found this out because I was looking it up to see if it was available. It says you have premiere access to this movie. I guess that means when you buy the $30, it's not like I have 36 hours to watch it. Like, I can watch it now.
Oh.
I rented this. Like a month ago. More than that.
So it's like you brought the DVD.
So that's the thing. If you got kids, if they like this movie and they're going to want to watch it over and over again, I guess that's another good selling point.
All right, that's not bad.
I think it comes with access to a short as well, but I can't remember what the short was. Oh, Us Again. Us Again is what it's called. Well, that's it. That's good. It's a good place to leave it, I think.
Yeah.
I have a soft spot for adventure films and martial arts action. Basically, I like seeing a plan come together kind of thing. Like, I like seeing when choreography has been put together in a clever way.
Yeah.
As opposed to just like a brawl kind of thing. Like, I don't care about seeing someone punch someone. That's not the point. The point is I want to see something being constructed, and that's why I like martial arts films, because they get constructed. And that's why I can appreciate about musicals and dance numbers. I just don't tend to enjoy them, and that may be my young brain. I think I was taught to not like them. I don't know, but it's, you like what you like, and I just don't really like it.
Well, we'll see when we go watch West Side Story.
Oh, yes, the Steven Spielberg West Side Story. Well, hey, you were just talking about Puerto Rican representation.
That's true. We're in gangs again.
Yeah. Okay. Point taken.
How long was the movie?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm asking that, but I don't even know how long Soul was, but Soul felt like a good amount of time.
It was a tight 107 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is such a terrible thing because like with COVID and the pandemic and everything, this is gonna be a long episode to edit. But with the pandemic, it has made the box office numbers so complicated because I'm looking at Soul. Soul's number was, the budget was $150 million. The box office was $135 million, almost 136. Now that's less than what it cost, but it's out on Disney Plus. I don't know how you can account for those numbers, and I also really feel like they're going to be re-releasing a lot of these movies later. Like I would love it if they re-released Godzilla vs. Kong again in the theater so that I could go watch it.
Yeah.
That would be very enjoyable. RAYA says the budget is about $100 million and the box office was $102 million, which, it's not great, but,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It does. I don't know. I do miss the theater experience, but it is convenient to watch a movie in the convenience of your own home.
It's very convenient, and I think was it Stephen Colbert or was it? I can't remember if it was on The Daily Show. I'm an old man in the morning, as I say. I watch both Daily Show clips and Stephen Colbert in the morning, and one of them described Mortal Kombat as like, okay, didn't get to see it at the big screen, but I think I watched it exactly as it was intended, sitting on my couch eating whatever.
Oh, that was Stephen Colbert.
It was Stephen Colbert and screaming, "Finish him!" Which I don't think they said in the movie. Oh, you want to know what? How about this? Raya and the Last Dragon, better martial arts film than Mortal Kombat.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, did she pull someone's head off?
Not that I remember.
Yeah.
And I would encourage you to watch it.
And I would encourage you to watch Soul.
Which I will.
All right. Go.
All right. Fine.
Stay tuned for our next review.
I'll review Soul,
Yeah.
and then you'll review Ryan Last Dragon.
Yeah.
That'll be the companion. Another 2+ hour episode. Oh God. Oh, can't do that. And that'll do it for this episode of the Rubber Animation Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for sitting through this very long two movie review episode. It was a duo. It was a double bubble.
Double feature.
Which is double feature. It has a double feature. I should have said that. It was the nicest grindhouse. No, it was fun. It was fun to go through and talk about them. And I think that both of these movies deserve your attention. Robbie, you want to tell people how they can follow you around the internet in case they liked your amazing critique?
Well, now that I'm an official movie reviewer, because I haven't been for
Official.
all this time,
Official.
you can catch me at Rob UFO. And that's on Instagram mostly. And you know what? I'm going to throw in TikTok there. I was a little embarrassed to say it, but I'm on TikTok. I do pretty well there. And Twitter. How about you, Stephen Brooks?
Well, I am Stephen Brooks. I am the Rubber Onion, and you can follow me everywhere at Rubber Onion. And I used to do this whole thing, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, blah, 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 blah. But I'll just say Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. These are the important places. And then, of course, check us out on Patreon. Patreon is the thing that kept us going for quite a while. And we are just getting back to refocusing back on the podcast and refocusing our efforts because of Patreon. And one of the most fun things about it, I think, is the Discord channel. Any tier. You give $1, whatever, you get on the Discord channel. And we chat there a lot. We just enjoy sharing things and talking. And I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The most fun thing in the community that came about of this stupid podcast is just, it's all of you. And oh my God, that sounded so cheesy. But I mean, it's talking with you, and to meet people of similar interests can be a complicated thing. And especially now, it's a complicated thing. And it's really fun to be able to just know that you can go on Discord and you can just share a thing and chat and talk about something. It's a good time.
Yeah. We talk a lot about the battles we had and stuff, animation battles, battles in life. We don't talk about battles in life.
I swear, I thought you were going to go for a third one, but that's fine. Thanks for joining us, and we will be back probably, I think, next episode we're going to do another variety show. I think we'll do another variety show.
There's a lot of good stories.
There's a lot of good stories that came up. And by the way, I just want to say this about last week's episode. We recorded that before the Annie Awards. Didn't release it until after the Annie Awards, but you can hear us make all those predictions and talk about it and everything. And it didn't occur to me until after we did. I was like, "Oh, this isn't going to go up until like it went up for patrons, but it didn't go up for everyone until a week later, until after the Annie Awards, or I guess it was more than that. But anyway,
I'm sure we were pretty accurate with whatever we said.
We actually were very accurate.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for joining us. See you on the next one.
Boom, boom, boom.